Hello, my name is Veronica and welcome into the Learning Lab. I wanted to do a quick check-in just to share with you what I have been up to lately. And one of those is playing around with melting these perler beads and the pony beads. I watched a lot of videos on YouTube so I could at least have some idea of what I was getting myself into. And I did start melting some of the pony beads, and this is kind of a look at how they turned out. I was definitely less than pleased with these results. They weren't uniform, first of all, and they kind of melted all over the place. But then again, I am going to blame that on user error because I put on the tray all the colors, not realizing that I probably should have been a bit more selective in my choosing. So when I went to do my perler beads, I approached it a bit more scientifically. I took these beads and poured them out onto the tray. I tried to get one of each kind that I was hoping to melt. I set my oven at 375, someone said, whatever it was, and I put all of them on, and again I got some less than stellar results with those as well as with the pony beads. So what I did was I thought I can learn from my mistake. I looked at how they had melted, whether or not they had melted, and if I scorched them from where they changed colors. So with learning from my mistake and experimentation, I was ready to go to my beads. So in my playing around, I got this fun color set, and it's 16 colors, which is a total of about 4,000 beads. I did the neutral colors, and that was 14 different colors of 4,000 beads. And I also did what was called as the stripes and kind of a shiny iridescent one, and I've thrown away the cover so I can't recall exactly the colors and pieces that were in there. I started with this one, and these came out really well. I mean, if you look at these, they're beautiful. They melted perfectly. I had no complaints with them. What I found with the stripes is that my stripes needed to go a little longer than my solids. And depending on the color that I used, I found that the darker the color, the longer I had to let them go, and the lighter the color, the least amount of time I had to let them go into the oven. Now on these iridescent ones, when I did them, you can see I got this little green nodule, looks like an eyeball in the center of it. Wasn't really pleased with that. Have not figured out a way to melt them without getting that center in there. So that's why the rest of these are not melted. The white ones turned out beautiful. They did not have to stay in nearly as long as the black ones did. But as you can see, it's a beautiful melting on those. And I think these also melted beautifully because they are designed to be melted. My neutrals came out great. I'll slide these over so you can get a look at those. And they're just beautiful. So what I'm going to do right now is melt down some of these white ones. What I did was took a coffee scoop. I think I got this from Crate and Barrel or somewhere like that. And just scooped out what I needed and poured that onto my craft mat to go into the oven. And once you get the hang of it, you'll know just about how much you need to dip in order to get out to cover your pan. So I've taken the white out of this neutral pack, laid it on my cookie sheet with my Ranger craft mat, and I'm going to pop those into the oven at 320 degrees for about 20-ish minutes or so. But what I'm going to do is rotate it halfway when it gets to the halfway mark. And I do this just in case my oven isn't cooking evenly on all sides. This gives them all a chance to have the same amount of heat. Then we'll come back and see what we have. Now that I've melted all of these, I don't think keeping these in this little plastic container is going to be the best idea because the top could fly off at any moment. I know that Jennifer McGuire uses something called Craft Mates, and she likes that for keeping her sequins and beads in. I don't have a ton of them, so that's not an issue for me. So what I did was on eBay, I ordered these bags, and I'll have to put in the description the size and the mil thickness for them. And what I'll do is take these and just scoop those into my bag. And then I'll just put them in one of my iris containers and call it a day. And there they'll be zipped, all the colors in their own little bag. And I think this storage is going to work well for me. I'll know when I'm running low because I won't have any more in the bag. But as you can see, I have lots of beads here, so I shouldn't run low anytime soon. And I know I'm going to have a great time melting these fun color ones. Now, as for the pony beads that I got, I'm going to wait on this because they smelled horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible when I was melting them. Probably because got to rotate my beads. Probably because these are not designed to be melted, so it gave off some toxic, nauseous odor that I really don't care for. So I think what I'll do is wait until it's summertime, take my toaster oven out into the deck, melt those where the fumes can evaporate with the wind. So for now, no experimenting with the pony beads. I definitely have them on hold until I can figure out the best way to get those to melt evenly. Because as I said, in my initial trial and error, they were lopsided, didn't come out that well, and I just wasn't that pleased. So that one will have to wait. But doesn't seem like my dog will wait to go out. So pardon me while I let the dog out. So now while we're waiting for the rest of the beads to melt, I want to show you a little bit more of what I have been doing with my storage. I think most of you remember the containers that I got that had these sleeves in it from Tuesday Morning, that had the nice little mylar sheet to them. And I took mine, used some tacky glue so that I was able to stick down my stamps on either side. And as you can see, they lift right off. But what I found was some of them didn't stay on the covering. So what I did was I ordered these bags again off of Amazon. And I think this size is 8 by 10. I didn't get a reclosable flat because I really don't need it. Mine stand up in the container. And so what I've done is just taken all of these and slid them into a sleeve, and they go down into my container that houses my stamps. Now, right now I have the name of the stamp just written on the sheet underneath, and these are from the paper company, and these are cupcakes. And at some point when I start to label them, I will get that put on there. And these are from birthday brackets from Stampendous. So I'll get all of my stamps labeled properly. So I have lots of them that are waiting to join their friends. I know this one is Hero Arts. It's from last Christmas. And this one is the paper company also. But as I gather more stamps, I've just been sliding them into their own little sleeve, putting them in my bucket to be organized later. Now, because I love these so much, and the new way in which I'm storing my dies, well, sort of kind of new, I still have them on those magnetic sheets that I bought. This one's a welcome little one. Woolton had these out, I think, and AC Moore or Michaels was getting rid of them. I got them for little or nothing. But they're the magnetic sheet. Love the size of them. I can put my dies on there, store my die in this, and I have the curtain rod where I hang these from the curtain rod. And now, one other thing I found that, especially with this Anna Griffin die that's just the entire sheet, I really don't need a magnetic sheet for it. I can just slide the entire die in the packet, and it holds it there. And yes, I have been collecting quite a number of Anna Griffin dies, but the way I'm storing my dies now is I have them in the same plastic. And I've numbered this one, as you can see, 161 to 165. I have a contact sheet that tells me all the dies that are in numbers 161 through 165. So all of these don't have to be Anna Griffin. As I purchase dies, I can just slap a number on them and put them in to its folder. And as you can see, these are all Doris, but it doesn't really matter, because when I want something, I just go down my list where I have a description of every single folder that I have, and it'll tell me what I want. So if I want the honeycomb, I can find honeycomb, and it tells me it's die number 162. I go to the hanging rack on my wall, and I see in this packet contains dies number 161 to 165. I go in, take out the one I want, use it, and when I'm done, I know which bag it goes back into. So this will help with keeping me organized with my embossing folders. Haven't decided how I want to label for my embossing dies, but I'm sure something's going to come to me to help get me going. Now, one thing that I did with these, I don't currently have my dies stored in this length of bag. They're actually stored in some smaller Ziploc bags that I bought off the shelf at the supermarket. I have on order right now from Amazon bags that are 6 by 8, because I think this bag is 6 by 10. And where I want to hang my embossing folders, it hangs too low by about this much. So when I get the 6 by 8 bag, that's going to allow them to hang at just the right height and to be able to accommodate the largest folders that I have. So that's what I've been doing in some of my spare time, is still trying to organize my craft room. But I have to tell you, the most fun thing that I've been doing is playing around with these really fun perler beads. As I get them all melted, I'll start getting them into my little storage packets that'll all just go into one big iris container together. Not the big mumbo jumbo one, but one of the smaller ones, because I do work better with those sizes. But melting these has been a lot of fun. Thank you to whoever discovered melting them to use on our cards. I really appreciate it. It's going to save me a ton of money, which I can spend on other wonderful goodies. So now let's check on the beads that I've had melted. And here we are after about 24 minutes of baking. That's 12 minutes each time. Halfway through, I rotated it and did that at 320 degrees. So it had to go for about 20, like I said, 24, 25 minutes. Now when I took mine out, I have a stone floor in my kitchen, so I just sat this on the floor and it cooled it down in less than 2 minutes. This is definitely cool to the touch. And I'm using my spatula from my Cricut, and that just scrapes these right off. And once I get them all scraped, they're ready to go right into my little container, or the new way that I am going to store these is that they can now go right into my baggie. As I said, I had to do a scientific approach to melting these for my oven. If you're willing to sacrifice a few of your beads on the front side, it's going to save you on the back side. Just take one of each color, especially if you buy the big bucket of mixed in colors. You really do need to separate them because the colors melt at different rates. But take those, put one of each kind on there, or 2 or 3, and melt them at a specified temperature and a specified amount of time. Then you have to do a little note taking. Note which ones melted the way you wanted them to and which ones didn't. Which ones were in there too long, then you know, decrease the time they're in there or decrease the temperature. Which ones didn't melt quite enough. In that case, you might want to leave them just a bit longer or increase your temperature. But again, because each oven works differently, it's going to be difficult for you to take someone's hard and fast temperature settings and make them work for you. I would encourage you to do a bit of playing until you get it to exactly what you'll need to make your beads come out as perfectly as these have. I am just over the moon with doing this. Again, thank you to whoever said, hey, melt those down on a craft mat on a cookie sheet. and you can make your own plastic coated beads. Will this stop me from buying the other ones in the store? No, because sometimes they have different designs or different things that I don't. So I think I will continue to purchase those because, you know, that's what I do. Buy stuff. So those people who make them, please continue to make them, because there are some people who have no desire to melt beads. And then there are people like me who will melt them and still buy others that are on the market. Not a problem at all. As you can see, I still have a few more trays of these to get melted. But as for now, this is just awesome. So while I've been melting, in between, I've been bagging them up because, as I said, this is my new way that I am going to store them. Love it. Again, thank you for joining me in the Learning Lab. Hope you learned something new today, but please be sure to check out my blog at inkallusions.blogspot.com where you'll find more information and inspiration. Until then.